Yes, observe this question, very interesting and of course logical question. Arun invested a sum of money of a certain rate of interest, simple interest, for a period of 4 years. Had he invested the same sum of money for period of 6 years, the total interest earned by him would have been 50% more than the earlier interest amount. What was the rate of interest per annum? IBPS RRB question, no? Interesting, of course. Of course, we'll have options 4%, 8%, 5%, can't say, and all these. These are options we have. Here we have clear cut story. Don't confuse. Same principal amount is there. Unfortunately, we don't have principal amount value, but there is a common value. What is that? Principal amount will be common for two cases. 4 years time period is there and as well as 6 years time period, right? So there is no change in rate of interest and as well as principal amount. There is a main point here. Okay, fine. I can assume any number as principal. You can choose any number. Choice is yours. Okay. If I take my principal amount as 100 rupees, 100 rupees. If I assume that my rate of interest as 4%, or for our comfort, let's say 10%. For our comfort only, 10%. If I wait for 4 years, always according to our mindset, always the principal amount can be taken as 100%. I need to go for 10% for 4 years. The total interest can be what? 40%, right? Why? Because I need to wait for 4 years. This is first case. My investment is 100. I need to calculate 10% for 4 years. That's why my interest can be 40%. Sir, no. The same way, if I wait for 6 years, the rate of interest can be what? 60%, right? Every year 10%, 4 years 40%, 6 years 60%. If you observe it properly, 40% is becoming 60%. Logically, how much increase? 20% increase, right? But don't confuse, don't go for the percentage value. Let's assume that the principal amount is 100 rupees. If I calculate 10% for 4 years, it can be 40 rupees. Assume that it is 40 rupees. If I calculate 6 years, 10% story, I am getting 60 rupees interest. If you observe it properly, 40 becomes 60 means what? 20 increase on the previous value 40 into 100. Yes, we are getting 50% rate of interest. 50% more rate of interest. Yes or no? 40 becomes 60 means what? 20 more. 20 more means according to percentage it will be 50% more. Why? Because 40 becoming 60, 20 increase on 40. That's why 50% more. Yes, it is matching. That's why everybody can say answer is what? 10% or else and of this. But don't confuse, don't confuse. If you go for 10%, you are getting 50% more interest. 40 becoming 60 means what? 20 more. 20 more on what? 40. Logically 40 on 40, if you compare 20, it will be 50% more, right? That is a given condition. But if you observe it properly, you can choose another rate of interest. I don't want this 10%. I want only 5%. Okay, 5% for 4 years. Same 100% principal amount. Principal amount will be same, right? If I choose 5% rate of interest, don't confuse, 5% rate of interest. 5% for 4 years will be 20%, not 20%, 20 rupees for our comfort. 5% for 4 years, 20 rupees. In the same way, 5% for 6 years, 30 rupees. 20 rupees becoming 30 rupees, 10 rupees increased on 20 rupees into 100. Again 50% increment is there. Okay. Whenever we have same principal and same rate of interest, you can choose any rate of interest, the process will be same. It will be matching it 5% as well as 10% and also 4%. That's why there is no proper rate of interest to decide. Okay, you can choose any rate of interest. Principal amount will be common. Rate of interest will be common for both. That's why you choose 4% or 3% or 8%. You are getting same 50% more income, right? Yes or no? When you compare the 4 years interest value, for 6 years you are getting 50% more interest. Don't confuse, 40 becomes 60 means what? 20 increase on 40. The same way, 20 becomes 30 means at 5%. 20 becomes 30 means 10 increase on 20 into 100, it will be 50% more, right? It's clearly showing that you can choose any rate of interest. Rate of interest will be principal amount. Whenever we have same principal and rate of interest in simple interest story, the process will be same. That's why the best option is what? Always don't go for none of this one. The answer is what? Can't see. We can't determine. Why? Because you can choose any rate of interest. Choice is yours. You can take 8%. For example, it is 8%. 8% 4 years, 8 4 is 32. Right? 8% is 8 6 is 48. 32 becomes 48. How much increased? 32 becomes 48 means 16 increased on 32. Logically 50% increment. They are getting 50% more increment, right? That's why answer can be what? Can't be determined. Be careful. Be brilliant. Okay, very simple question, but how to connect to the question is very important, right? Okay. Of course, we have none of these options as well as so many options, right? You can choose any one of the option. You can get the same answer for sure. That's why you cannot decide the rate of interest. Be brave. Okay, be brilliant. Now let's go for the next question.